step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and well, I'd love to tell you it's so good to have you with us. We are back. But let's take a moment and let's pause. In the world of tech, there's been a lot of upheaval in the last couple of days. And one of the things that we wanted to take a moment to talk about is really the most important thing you can concentrate on, which is your mental health. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. It's a very scary time for some people. And as I once said to a dear friend, whatever you're feeling right now, those are your emotions. They're not wrong. They are yours. You get to feel them, and nobody gets to tell you that they're wrong. So feel free to feel them, process them, don't push it down. I would also say, protect your mental health. We just went through one of the biggest crises in the history of humanity with the COVID pandemic. I know that during that period of time, hopefully you developed habits to be able to deal with some of that stress. I know I did. For myself, it's running, it's jogging, going for walks, going on bike rides. These things give me peace and solace. Josh, what is it for you?
For me, it's Legos. Just putting them together, the piece of putting them together. Andres, how about you?
Boom. Sports, soccer, beach, and knowing that the bread will come. There'll be food on the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Neeraj, how about you, buddy?
Long walk, talk to your spouse and family, and just make sure you talk to somebody, right? I mean, if you just keep it to yourself, you would start losing it up. So,
yeah.
Yep.
I think that's a really, really important one, right? Because talking to people matters. We are social animals as human beings, and just the act of being in the presence of another human being can help you feel better. There's scientific proof behind it. So the big thing I want to say is we will get through this. We're going to do it together. Be good to one another and just take care of yourself out there. And with that, we're going to go on with the show. On Tuesday, we had Lonnie Bauer on our show, global domain lead for the Azure Fast Track team. We talked about technical debt, what it is, how to address it. We talked about different tales about it. Who played, who won, who has the hosting duties, who knows? Well, we know, but if you don't know, you need to go over to our YouTube page and watch some of our previous episodes. So every single video gets logged there after the fact. And so if this is your first time finding us, give us a like, give us a subscribe, follow us. So that way, you know, when we're dropping new episodes. If you want to interact with the show, it is so incredibly easy to be able to do that. Just head over to LinkedIn, Tales from the Field, LinkedIn, sorry, under Sequel Balls, Tales from the Field, Sequel Balls, Neeraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman, Tales from the Field over on Twitter. On YouTube, of course, we're Tales from the Field on our YouTube page. And if you go to any of those places and you enter a comment, one of my wonderful co-host will see that comment and they will add it to the show and you will be a part of the show. And before we go any further, let me introduce these wonderful co-hosts of mine. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Josh Ludeman, and like a ray of sunshine piercing clouds on a sunny day, it's your friend and mine, the one, the only, Neeraj Jafari. So I don't know that I have a lot to add in small talk. What everybody have for dinner last night? But maybe we go there. What was dinner? I got subs. I was on a call pretty late, so I didn't have time to be able to cook something. We went to Jersey Mike's. I love the turkey provolone sub. I don't often let myself, because I try and be low carb. I don't let myself. Yesterday was a splurge day, though. I gave myself permission to have some stress eating food, and that was a big old loaded sub sandwich with some potato chips. Andreas, how about you, buddy?
We have like a great blessing. My wife always makes sure we always eat together, so that is always a blessing that I'll hope never leaves me. But we had farro, we had steak, and we had broccoli, and I had a de-stressful beer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Steak and broccoli. That's solid, man. And the beer.
Yeah.
Neeraj, how about you, buddy?
We had pasta and soup. I like the de-stressed beer. I should have taken that last night.
Mhm.
Hey, you get a mulligan, man. Feel free to give yourself, whatever you want tonight. You can tell your
Even
wife,
now, if
right?
you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're good
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. So for us, we had some volunteering going on in the house last night, some folks in and out. So just kept it simple, honestly, with leftovers, which for me, I know a lot of people kind of look at leftovers and, kind of turn their head like, ooh. For me, the simplicity of just grabbing something out of the fridge, being able to work with that, but also having the relaxing beer. Andres, I was with you on that one as well.
I'll be honest. I did, as I was after everybody was out of the, I guess the living room area. The kids tend to go up to the room, be on their cell phones. Sue was packing for a conference that she's off to. I sat in the dad chair and I can't remember what I watched. I think I just turned on the TV for whatever sporting event was on, and I had a nice little glass of midsummer's night or midwinter's night dram. It's a really solid whiskey. Really solid whiskey.
Beautiful
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, Neeraj, we're all depending on you. You gotta have some fun tonight, buddy. Let us know when we hit next week what you did.
Yep.
Oh, Dan, yeah, you're right. Leftovers best. What I love about leftover chili. That's one of my favorite things because everything emulsifies together. The flavors just are so much richer the next day when you heat it up. Oh, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
For me, it was leftover homemade Chinese. Did some Mongolian chicken and some stir fry veggies and reheated that with some rice.
Nice.
Nice.
So I'm just double checking.
Probably we should have the 31st when we are going to have the Christmas gifts with the beer thing.
Oh yeah,
We should. That's a great idea. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to smoke a turkey.
We might be able to make something happen there.
Roland said, and he's not wrong. Strong pass if it smells like fish. I'll be
Roland, yes. Yeah. Fish you don't even include in that conversation just because of that.
Now, when I'm trying to be healthy, I will pre-cook some fish, but I don't bother to heat it back up just because I feel like that's a cardinal sin in the house. There's no easy way to reheat salmon in the microwave or in a pot. You got to go oven, and even
Go
then,
to the barbecue.
yeah. Oh, barbecue. Barbecue's a solid one. That's not
You
a bad
can
one.
reheat it with the barbecue. It's nice. And have a beer.
There we go. All right. Well, hey, let's get over to that community roundtable of ours. First up, hold on one second. Let me make sure that I've got, there we go. I've got Neeraj Jafari. Neeraj, you've got How to Survive a Layoff by Hannah Morgan.
Yep, I mean, pretty nice article, as you said, Brad, right? Mental health is one of the things, and she describes it up, right? I mean, she goes step by step, what is going to happen, right? And people goes through a lot of emotions, right? You're going to be angry at one point of time, you're going to be fearful, you're going to be scared, you'll be sad, all that different types of emotions that you're going to be going through it, and then how you take it out, right? I mean, definitely speak to your spouse, family, anybody, right? To your friends, whoever you're close to, speak to it. File for unemployment if that is an option for you. Health insurance is the biggest thing, right? I mean, one of the biggest thing that affects you is the health insurance. So she gives the ways to do it. Start creating a budget, right? I mean, till you get the next job, budget is one of the biggest thing. And then she goes for big 2, where she asks you to start creating a schedule, right? How to start looking for a job, start building your resumes, start updating your LinkedIn profile, diversify your job activities, brush up your skills. And these are all the things that she's definitely going through. Nice.
Yeah.
And
This is
good.
I was going to say it's a very in-depth article. It's very, very in-depth, and she goes through a lot of different instructions in there. That's really, really nice.
Yeah, and then for the people out there, right? I mean, if you guys need resume recommendation, we 4 are here, right? I mean, from Trails from the Field, we can definitely help you out. Ping us up. And we'll be there. If we see any openings coming up, I know Brad, you just posted a few of them on the LinkedIn thing from some of the companies. So we are definitely going to keep posting it up from LinkedIn.
Yep. And Roland said you should always take salmon to reheat in the microwave to the office. And Roland, that's just a
Sound
cardinal sin.
advice.
That don't do that.
Sound
Don't do that. That's nobody likes that guy.
He's, he's just looking to have some fun, and I can't blame him in that.
No, I can't. I can't. If anybody takes that advice, it's on you, not us.
Yes.
So I'm next, and I've got Race to 35, Esther Perel's episode. As you know, I'm a huge fan of The Armchair Expert, and Monica Padman and her good friend Les Pack, they actually did an entire series where they were extracting and freezing eggs. During this episode, though, one of the things that covered, Esther Perel is a world-famous, world-renowned relationship expert. She's written many books. She covers the concept of ambiguous loss. And I think that that's something that definitely hits home with a lot of people. There's a lot of times that people go through a loss, and sometimes very personal, sometimes relating to relationships, where they sit there and they go, oh, I don't have the right to feel this. Maybe I had an expectation, that expectation wasn't met, and I don't have the right to be able to go, I'll just keep moving forward. I keep looking at the next thing, and you don't stop to be able to go through the mourning process. I was going to say it's fairly early in the podcast that she actually gets to that concept. And I think that's really important for many people because it's important to realize that when you go through something, there is such a concept as ambiguous loss, and to take that moment and be able to process things. Sometimes we have things and things don't turn out the way that we want them to, or how we expected. Mm-hmm. Those expectations can hurt. And it's okay to sit there and process that and be able to move through that. So I thought that was a really, really fascinating concept. One I wanted to share. Andreas, I've got you next. You have how to get the biggest bang for your buck with SQL Server on Azure VMs from our good friend, Pamela Howd.
Oh, great article. Thank you, Pam. I had the pleasure of having beers and Pam, about a year or so ago with our good friend Bradley here. And she, every time I come back to this article and send it out to customers, it really hits the right sequence that they should be thinking of. The links are great of how to choose, properly size your VM, how to configure storage, what little knobs and gauges you can twist to get a little bit more performance out with no additional cost. Thank you for this article. It really leads you nice into all those tricks of the trade for, making right sizing that VM and getting a little bit more performance out of it. And this goes. And this doesn't change. It never changes. You'll always come back to this when you right size a VM. The concepts always say, I got to look at the storage. I got to look at the VM series. I got to look at memory, and what should I be looking there? So thank you, Pam.
Absolutely. And this is just beautiful. This graphic right here. If you look at this, she shows how provisioning for size for disk is not always what you want to do, that going with smaller disk gets you more megabytes per second and saves you over, I think that's $38 and some change, right? I mean, that's a massive savings per month to be able to save. Absolutely beautiful article by Pam. I'm really glad that you referenced this one, Andreas. This is solid. And a quick reminder, as always, all of the links will be in the comments underneath the video after we post it. I will get those in there today, and these are absolutely necessary because that's some great stuff. You're moving a VM to Azure. You're going to want to make sure that you're taking and following this advice. So let's see. Next up, I have Josh. Josh, what is Technical Debt by Daniel Beckworth?
Yeah, so this is a great article I came across on LinkedIn that was being shared around. I think with the conversation the last couple of weeks about technical debt around some of the outages at the holidays and things like that, that I felt like it was good to get at least a couple perspectives, because again, there's a lot of concepts in tech that can be controversial. Some definitions are slightly different than others. So this was one of the perspectives I brought to the table about what really is technical debt.
Yeah, and I love that the implied rework of caused by choosing easy limited solution now instead of using a better approach that would take longer. Talking about how we find it, different types of technical debt. Really,
Mhm.
really, really great article matching with the theme of the week.
Yep.
Very nice stuff. Next up, we have Neeraj. Neeraj, let's see. You have technical debt definition types and examples.
So sticking to the theme of the week, we had technical debt that we discussed last on this Tuesday. This is on the project management side where John Weber is trying to link it up to how to technical debt. What is technical debt? What are the different types of technical debt? He has given a very good examples of what technical debt. Why do we accumulate all these technical debts? I mean, reasons where we go crazy and causes all this technical debt to go on it, and then some solutions, how to prevent it up, how to do it. He also has, because it's a project management side, he has linked it up saying how you can plan it out for future and get rid of all your technical debt. I mean, technical debt, as we discussed, right, with Lonnie, it has to at some point of time to be addressed, or else it just would be out of control for you. So,
Absolutely.
uh,
I like some of these labels too: deliberate and reckless, inadvertent and reckless, inadvertent and prudent, deliberate and prudent.
I love that when I was reading it up. So yeah, definitely.
It's fun.
Absolutely. That is some good stuff right there.
Oh,
And Dan,
sorry.
oh, yeah, Dan had a comment, and so this is going to go to the article with Pam. Plus, you want to get to take advantage of read caching with the smaller drives on data drives. This is a great article. Absolutely, that data caching for read with data files. Remember, you don't want any recaching on your log files, which I know Dan knows very well. We've worked together on multiple projects, and he knows that one. But there's a great call out, Dan, because that read caching does give you that extra burst of IOPS, and on database workloads, that's incredibly important to make sure that we can match the level of throughput and IOPS that people need. Very nice. All right, so I'm up next. I've got a talk by Simon Sinek, Why Leaders Eat Last. This is a 45-minute video. And so it's not a short video I'm asking you to watch, but it is well worth it. This is one of the best talks that I've ever heard. He centers this around the financial crisis back in 2008, 2012. It was roughly 9 years ago he gave it. So I think this is 2011, maybe. Anyway, it's just a fantastic video, but it talks about how you lead from example, how there's an implied social contract, but also how some of the chemicals work within our bodies, right? The fact that dopamine is a chemical that we naturally can get, and there's really good stuff about it, but also dopamine is a chemical that we get that can be highly addictive. There's dopamine in alcohol, there's dopamine in cigarettes. I mean, there's dopamine in many things you can get addicted to, but you also get dopamine with the release of other hormones when you go and you run a race or something like that, or you do some physical exercise. Dopamine in and of itself is something that can lead us down a very bad path if we're not doing things properly to be able to balance it. But it also talks about the fear that naturally arises. If you've ever seen like a herd of antelope in a nature documentary, if there's a tiger stalking one head will pop up and then multiple heads pop up. And that's often what we're like as human beings. I mean, it's an evolutionary process. If one of us gets worried about something, it's likely a lot of us are going to have to worry as just a group of humans, as a tribe that we are living together. It is natural to have that empathy towards one another. And so when we see things happening in society, we can't help but get affected by it. But also it talks about leaders and how leaders put their people first. It's just a really, really great video. Simon Sinek's got a lot of solid stuff. But this is one of my favorite talks that he gives. Let's see.
Yeah, he's on my bookshelf.
I'm gonna watch that one tonight.
Yeah, it's a solid one. You'll really enjoy it. As a matter of fact, he also has a book that he followed up on this. He's got a book called Why Leaders Eat Last. So a solid read as well. Next up, I have you, Andreas. I have step-by-step how to create and configure an Azure Linux VM and connect via remote desktop access in Azure in Microsoft Azure.
Oh, great! So this actually, fell onto my lap this week because I've been working with some of my, with some NVIDIA devices and trying to get some models installed on the NVIDIA device. And if you guys have ever worked with NVIDIA, you can actually just, plug in an HDMI cable and you can bring up the desktop on the screen and you can go in as a normal desktop. It's great, especially sometimes I don't like working through the command line. I like actually getting onto the device itself and configuring things on the device itself. With the desktop, it works out really handy. Well, you can actually install an Ubuntu desktop and different types of desktop on our Azure VM Linux machines if you wanted to. And this article shows you, one, how to set up a Linux VM, install the Ubuntu desktop on there, then install XRDP so you can remote desktop onto the machine itself, and you can work around as if you were on a Linux, Ubuntu desktop. And this works out great because there's sometimes that I'm working and trying to do things with a VM and trying to either use a VM to these NVIDIA VMs that have a GPU in the back, and I install the Ubuntu desktop on there, and I can easily log on, RDP on there, and just work as if I was directly on the machine. If you guys wanted to use this article to get Ubuntu desktop working on that machine, and then you can install XRDP, and you can remote desktop, and voila, you have a Linux machine.
So all I want to say is thank you for this article, and thank you for writing it. Andres, thank you for sharing it. Because this is something that, Safad, thank you for this. Yes. Because this is something that I've had to do too many times and not had a chance to blog about myself. That's why you were going down through this article and we're scrolling and I'm going, yep, done that. Yep. So this is great. This is great. Thank you for sharing it. I love it.
Thanks, Safad. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, and so speaking of Josh, you're up next. You have let's talk about technical debt by the Premier Developer team.
Yeah, so this is like a little throwback for Brad and I. Brad and I originally actually started our careers, in Microsoft on the Premier Developer team. So this was actually written by a few different developers, actually about technical debt, a few years ago. Honestly, I wasn't even on the team yet, but this was a collaborative article that I had sent to me after joining the team about technical debt that was pulled together by a few different engineers on the team. It's a great article, digs down into it, real life perspective, talks about, again, like he's showing there, effort versus risk, because that's really what the trade-off that, if you lean too far, towards away from effort, you can create technical debt. This talks about that in the article. And, just a great article, again, for that other perspective about really what is technical debt and how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice. I like it. I like it a lot. So, Neeraj, I've got you up next, and you've got, let's see, technical debt isn't just technical. And this is by Andrea Goulet.
I think what she's trying to mention up here is breaking out the whole technical depth into three different types of depth, right? Code depth, communication depth, and organization depth, right? I mean, this is the three buckets that usually causes the technical depth to happen. And she has given a really good examples on how this depth can be broken down and how it can be resolved into it, right? I mean, particular organization depth is a very good reading of it, just because it's a change, right? I mean, people do not understand that thing, right? I mean, and if you are old schooler and all of them, it's go to work and nothing's going to happen. Keep on running it up. No, it at some point in time, everything has a life end of it. Like everything has like a limit of it to go on. So that's something that she's expressed it really completely right here.
No, and I love this because, as we all know, when typically when you have an organization, if you don't take care of that organization, like a relationship, over time it's going to atrophy. And communication is one of the first things that breaks down, and it is incredibly important to have people communicating, have people on the same page. I love that. I love the concept as well about how it's not just technical and how it can affect an organization. I am up next. And again, I'm sticking with the theme of technical debt on an individual level, right? So the one I'm looking at right now, this is actually a book. My good friend Jorge Seguera and I are going to be reading this together. We're kind of doing a book club on the side. And this is Man Enough. And it is Undefining My Masculinity by Justin Baldoni. And Justin Baldoni is an actor. He has a podcast as well that's along the same lines. But one of the things that I've had many conversations with folks about, so my journey as a human being has taken some very non-traditional routes. When I was young, ended up getting separated from my wife at the time, and I had my two little boys and I had to raise them. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life to be able to grow as a human being, to be able to shatter my concept of masculinity, because when you're there 24/7 for these little kids, you don't get to just be dad. You have to be everything to those children. And there are a lot of concepts that can create pressures on us as men, where there's all these concepts of dad's got to be the breadwinner, dad's got to have the big job and bring it home, and there's expectations that if we fall short of that, can cause pressure, can cause tension in anybody's life. And so one of the things I really wanted to do is Jorge is actually doing something where he's at home raising his kids while his wife works. And I think that's a tremendous thing he's done. And we talked about how we can kind of correlate our points of view. My kids are older now, they're more grown, his are little. And we talked about concepts that kind of get pushed on you and you don't even realize they're pushed on you, and how from a mental health perspective, we can kind of redirect that. And so I'm really looking forward. I've gone through the chapter listing. I'm already through chapter 1, and I really love the concept and just kind of taking that and helping to understand how that kind of affects you in areas potentially that I can make myself a better person. So anyway, interesting read for me. We've got a couple comments on Andreas, yours. So Roland says Ubuntu rocks. Thank you, Roland. Yes, it does, dear friend. We appreciate you. And he said makes a great Windows replacement because it's smooth, secure, and easy to manage. Yeah, wholeheartedly. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, our good friend Buck Woody, I know one of his desktops that he has, he does a lot of work on at home, is an Ubuntu desktop that he sets up and configures. So yeah, it's a very solid choice from an operating perspective point of view. So next up, I've got Andreas once again. Let's see if we got another hit on our hands, buddy. Managing technical debt with Azure DevOps and Sonar Cloud.
So I'm finally coming back to our main theme, which is technical debt. And if you guys have ever stumbled on these Azure DevOps labs, they're really useful. There's a bunch of them. If you go to the top, Brad, you can click on Azure DevOps labs. There's a top link, and it'll take you to a series of how to get your DevOps environment set up, and how to do continuous deployments, and a lot more know-how that you want when it comes to DevOps pipelines, YAML configuration, managing Key Vault. But one of them that's really useful is how to manage technical debt with a package called Sonar Cloud. And you can install this extension inside your Azure DevOps environment, and you can add Sonar Cloud in your build pipeline. And what this Sonar Cloud does for you is it can check for vulnerabilities in your code, anything that's hard-coded, if there's any syntactical errors, anything that doesn't look or smell great with your code, whether it's .NET, Java, Python. I think I feel from what I remember, Sonar Cloud covers all the top 3, at least top 4, languages. But it actually will give you a report and say, hey, these are bugs, these are vulnerabilities in your code. These are code smells. This is the debt that you're going to incur by leaving these into your code. So if you come all the way to the bottom, it'll give you a nice dashboard and links directly to where you find these vulnerabilities inside your code. So definitely recommend it if you want to add an extra step in your build pipelines for Azure DevOps, and you're deploying Python, .NET. Hey, add Sonar Cloud. It's an easy win.
I mean, I was going to say, in throwback to the early in the episode when we were talking about microwaving fish leftovers, if something smells funny in your code, kind of like somebody microwaved fish in the break room,
Yeah.
Sonar Cloud can help you with that. No, I'm just
there
kidding.
you go.
Sorry, I had to bring it all the way back. Had to go all the way back.
No, that's solid. That's solid. That is amazing. And just being able to do that with the package. I love it. I love it. So, Dan, for Buck, it's close to working on the mainframe. I'm going to let you deal with that one, Dan. Yeah, you're going
to change it out. It said for work, Ubuntu is close to working on the mainframe.
There we go. There we go. All right, Josh, I have you last, but certainly not least, 51 things that will make you smile by Tiny Buddha.
So everything we've been talking about this week, we started with technical debt, the other stuff that we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. I was kind of looking at that, and honestly, looking at our list of links coming into today's show, I kind of got a little depressed. So my thought was, looking at the list, let's end on a high note. So this article actually goes through 51 things that'll make you smile. And they're things that you can do to make you smile. For instance, like I love the one, text a friend. What's the funniest thing you've heard today? Silly pictures, rearranging your furniture, just because, honestly, when I look at that one, my first thought when I looked at it was going, yeah, and then watch your family or people come over and go, what did you do that for? Why? The comedy side of that. And I think you all know on the show, I'm a jokester to a certain extent, and things like that. So asking a child in your life to do your hair, that one's fun. Asking them to do your nails as well. And number 15, it says for the ladies. It's not just for the ladies. I'm telling you, I had some pretty crazy colors on my toes back in the day. Not gonna lie, when my girls were younger.
I was gonna say, any dad who has little girls has had their nails and their toenails painted at some point in time. It's just you got to, and that pop of color is just kind of funny to look at. So no, not just for the ladies, guys. Feel free, go wild, get your toes painted.
Absolutely. So yeah, and it's a huge list of them all, and I was looking at it and giggling as I was going down through the list, and there's a few in there I'm going to pick up and run with as well that I enjoyed. So yeah, I just thought it was a great happy note to kind of wrap the week on. Our good friend Mr. Tom Rock, bringing in, taking the tech topic and bringing in the funny there. Tech refinancing, I love that.
I was going to say, I am more than happy to sell anyone who would like tech refinancing a bridge in Arizona right next to the ocean. So then let's look at that. Is technical refinancing replacing your technical debt with other technical debt, just more newer technical debt? I believe there's an old phrase, robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's probably it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So good. I think I'm on the right path.
I was going to say the technical refinancing of debt. I think that's literally the story that I told yesterday when they did the upgrade from .NET 5 to .NET 6, so they could do the upgrade to .NET Framework 1.1 with the goal eventually to be able to get to .NET Core.
Okay.
Yeah, that's technical refinance. If you let it go long enough. I mean, look, if you've got a 6.5 database out there right now, and I know there are people who do have a SQL 6.5 database sitting out there right now, an instance running, you can't do a direct upgrade to a supported version. You got some hops. There's some technical refinancing for you right now. I
was going to say, even with a SQL Server 2000, I think there's at least a hop or two. I think even with that, I believe.
Potentially. I don't know. It's been a long time. I'll have to spin up an instance. It's been a while. I'd love to validate that.
Yeah, can you still spin up 2000? I mean, I don't think so, right?
Well, you've got to have the access to the bits, and fortunately we do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
should I? Technologies. Yeah, exactly. Should I? We have the technologies, but should we use it?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess for the reminders, remember we've got our hosting show on Tuesday. SQL Bits is coming up. We're gonna have Tales from the Field at SQL Bits. I've got a session with Patrick LeBlanc, and then I've also got a session on how soft skills eat tech skills for breakfast. Bring your technical refi to the rock, low rates, proven individual in your. Hold on, let me do that later. Bring your technical refi to the rock, low rates, and a proven individual in your community. You can trust him. Oh, hold on, we lost your mic, Josh. We lost your mic.
You've sold me. I'm in.
Okay, there we go. Tom, I got a sucker for you. I mean, Josh is willing to refinance. All right. Hey, be good to everybody. Have a great weekend. Take some time off. Have a relaxing beverage. Neeraj, you need to have a cheat meal, buddy. We believe in you and we know you can do it. Take care, everybody.
And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day.